Hello, good morning, and welcome to another Next Gen Planners Commute. God, we're getting near the end now. This is all quite sad. I am Rohan Sivajoti, the co-founder at Next Gen, and today I am joined by Jess Gear. Hello, Jess.
Hello.
You just about recovered from last Friday?
Yeah, just about. That extra day off, the bank holiday Monday, it's amazing how much it just like throws you. You get back into the swing of work then on a Tuesday, it's like, oh, right.
I know it was also, yeah, it was a little bit rough on Saturday morning, I must admit, after the cocktail party, but I don't think I was as bad as Tomo by the sound of it.
Oh no.
I saw a lovely text message that his wife had sent one of their WhatsApp groups about him, which I won't repeat right now, but good morning, Tomo. Yes, we are all the gear, no idea, as per every Wednesday. Jess, what do we have on today's show?
So today we've got a guest interview with the lovely Justin King. Chris Budd is back with another financial wellbeing thought for the day. And it is Wednesday, so we've got Dan's Wednesday quiz. But first, we've got the New Mole Advisor, which is brought to us today by Laura Perkis. Hello, Laura.
Hi everyone. So today, big news this morning, M&G has bought the Eccentric platform from Royal London 3 months after it was put up for sale. We don't know all the details yet, but we've been told the acquisition will be used for both Prudential and M&G investment products. So keep an eye on updates on that. On the political front today, Boris Johnson is facing the Commons Liaison Committee later today. That's a committee that's made up of senior MPs who will conduct a 90-minute interrogation over how the government has handled the coronavirus pandemic, and they are expected to ask questions about the Dominic Cummings situation. So if you want to watch that, that's at 4 p.m. today. Something else worth mentioning, if you haven't seen already, Franklin Templeton has publicly fired one of its portfolio managers, Amy Cooper, following an internal investigation into an incident between her and a man in Central Park over the weekend. They've put the announcement on Twitter, and if you want to find the video, I'm sure you can find that on Twitter as well. On pensions, Steve Webb told us yesterday that over the weekend, around 1,500 women who put their details into a calculator they've created to work out if they've been missing out on a higher rate of state pension were told that they qualified in principle out of about 25,000 people who put their details in. And on a more positive note this morning, Pension Bee has launched an online game with the FCA called Scam Man and Robin, which is aimed at helping people identify pension scams. I think you have to zap the pension scams as they fall from the sky. So I'm going to put a link to that in the chat in a minute if you want to have a go. Yeah, that's it this morning.
Excellent. I saw on Twitter as well that you had an amazing investigation that go down the other day. Got anything you're working on today?
Thank you. On the investigation front, I mean, I'm trying to put a break in between my litigious stuff, to be honest. It's all been a little bit stressful. So I'm working on a guide on how to work out the reduced annual allowance for people, like a really simplistic guide. So that's probably the next thing I'm working on, but I have got another investigation lined up. So maybe next week. That'll be out.
Amazing. Thank you, Laura.
Okay.
So now we've got Chris Budd with his financial wellbeing thought for the day. Good morning, Chris.
Morning, Laura. So today I want to just talk about money diversions. Hopefully you have put up a good financial plan for your client, built around intrinsic motivations, all about making them happy. So what's going to put your client off following that plan? We're surrounded by things telling us that money is a good thing, that success is defined by money. Dragon's Den, Wolf of Wall Street, the economic system under which we work. Bankers paid 100 times more than nurses, all tempting us to do jobs that pay best. I was pushed into doing an economics degree by my father because it would get me a good job, and I absolutely hated it. Advertising telling us we're not going to be cool or gorgeous unless we buy a particular brand of beer. These diversions create behaviours that are not necessarily aligned with our long-term well-being. So striving to buy stuff, to own things we know is not going to give you well-being, going through life trying to please other people, extrinsic motivations. So focusing on what makes you happy is what is important. But do we even know what makes us happy, which is the coaching element that we talk about? So my question for you is today, what are your clients' money diversions? What are the things, and what are yours? What are the things that are going to knock them off the path that you have created together, so that you can keep them, make them aware of that, and then when they happen, you can give them a call and say, hey, don't go buying that thing that I saw advertised, because we know that that's the thing that tempts you away. So what are your clients' money diversions?
Money diversions, okay. Chris, can you give us a few examples of that in practice?
Well, I bought an accidental guitar on eBay once. That might be one of them, possibly. I've got 2 banjos that I never play. They're good examples of things that oh, that looks shiny and fun, I think I'll go and buy that. But I didn't actually need them, and I've never used them. I've got another little tip, actually, Rohan, if I may, just to finish. Opticians are shut at the moment, and my glasses are broken. And I was due to get my eyes tested about a month ago. So I've now found out that there is a way you can get your eyes tested. So I need to find a small child and then drive 30 miles. So if anybody's got a small child I can borrow, I can drive around for a while and test my eyes. If anybody can help me out, that'd be great.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Very good indeed. Right, so we will move swiftly on from that into today's interview, which is with Justin King from MFP Wealth Management and the Retirement Cafe podcast. Hello there, Justin.
Good morning, Ryan. Great to see you all.
And you. I tell you what, that sun camera setup you've got there, I've never seen a man looking so good in the morning. It's amazing. Look, Justin, can you just kick us off? Just tell us a little bit about your career and how you came into the profession, and go for that.
Okay. So, accidentally, 1986, I was 16. My parents turfed me out, and I ended up kind of wandering around, and I managed to get on what was called a YTS scheme, a youth training scheme. In a place called Stourbridge in the West Midlands, and a chap took me on who runs an insurance brokerage, and I got a job picking up the sandwiches and filing the files, writing cover notes for the motor insurance department. So that was my introduction to the world of financial services.
Nice, very good. And then where did it go from there?
Well, I did a few years, and then realized that all my pals were off to university to do much more exciting things. So I went traveling for a bit, kind of Far East, Australia, that type of thing. Then came back and did a few other bits and pieces, like running pubs and restaurants in London and etc. And suddenly realized that running restaurants and pubs was really quite hard work. And I went back to my old boss and I said, is there any chance I could have a job, please? And he said, well, we haven't got any jobs in the motor insurance department any longer. But this was now 1991, and he said, well, you could sell some life insurance. So this was the years before any qualifications were needed, and armed with 24 back issues of Money Management magazine, I started flogging policies to my pals. I quickly progressed from that and realized that, I needed to know what I was talking about. So I started doing exams way before the financial planning certificate was even invented or even thought of, but the CII did have some qualifications, and I started my career of learning stuff. So I progressed and I did a few things. I left, I went abroad again, worked for a few different firms, ended up being a director and a part owner of that brokerage that I'd started out at 16 by 27 as a financial planner. And at a very early age at that point got into fee only cash flow modeling with Presswood and Truth. So this was when I was about 27. And I did that for a few years, then had a big motorbike accident, which some of you may know that story, but at 30 I quit it all, went off, retrained, became a commercial yacht master, sailed yachts, moved to the south coast, was a lifeboatman for 10 years, still a financial advisor. I never lost my authorization. So I still, I had an agency with Positive Solutions, and still kind of did a little bit of advice every so often, and kept going. And by the time I got to, just 10 years ago now, so just coming up to 40, I settled down a bit. I'd met a girl whilst teaching sailing in the Solent, and she said, you better get a proper job. So I went back to financial planning and started MFP Wealth Management. So we've been going 10 years now.
So not much then. No.
Well,
you're making all our lives incredibly boring now, Justin. I hope you realise that.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I just kind of rolled into the next thing, I suppose. It's I've always been looking to find something which was interesting.
Very good. Okay, fantastic. And obviously with MFP, the Retirement Cafe podcast and stuff, I've seen plenty of your marketing strategy about, with videos, blogs, that kind of thing. The one I'm really interested in is the process of writing a book. So for anybody out there and thinking of their own book, what sort of tips would you give them on that front? And can you tell us a bit about the book that you've written?
So obviously mine was a collaboration with Martin Bamford, who many of you will know Martin, and he'd written a number of books already. So as a collaborator, he's an ideal person to do it with because, of course, he had lots of insight and knowledge already. But really, if it's a factual book, a financial book that you're trying to illustrate to the world that you know what you're on about, I suppose, which is probably what you're doing. It's a marketing piece. What problem are you solving? What is it? What are the questions that people are asking? I mean, this is the same for all marketing, I think. But what are the questions that, whether you're writing a blog post, whether you're writing a white paper, whether you're writing a book, but what problem are you fixing for people? What are they, when they walk into that bookshop or they're on Amazon and they're looking for a solution to something? How does your paper, your article, solve that problem for them? Whether it's video, whether it's book, what have you. So that's it. And then it's the commitment. I mean, Chris knows this. It's the commitment. It's turning up every day and getting on with it. It's the execution. And in fact, this is probably the big difference with all of us, isn't it? It's the people we probably admire and go, wow, look at what they've done. It's the execution that we're impressed by, because we've all had a million ideas, but actually, getting up the next morning. Some of you may be following Jack Butcher on Twitter. He's quite popular at the moment. And he kicked me up the backside the other day when he tweeted, I don't know his exact words, but it was something like, if you've got time to consume, you've got time to produce. And I thought, you know what, you're so right. I'm probably consuming way, way more than I'm actually producing. And getting that balance right, I suppose. That's
fair. Okay, cool. And I was looking through your website and stuff, Justin, and you deploy video really well across it. How has that sort of helped with client and prospect engagement?
I think most people are visual. Most people are after the easy solution to their problem. Again, I kind of try and get into the head of the prospective consumer of my service and go, what happens? And I always go back to the analogy, if I woke up at 3:00 in the morning and had a toothache, and I'm in a strange town and haven't got a dentist, what would I do? Well, the first thing I'll probably do is Google emergency dentist, and I'll see who pops up. And then I'm looking for credibility, aren't I? I'm looking for the reason to believe that this dentist is going to be the person who solves my problem. So I think the customer journey is probably similar for even a client who gets a referral and says, oh, you should go and see Justin. He's a good financial advisor. Will Google me. And then they'll want to get the credibility piece. They want a reason to believe. They want to see all the tickets. And then they want to see if they can hear you speak and they can see you've written something and they can see that you've talked somewhere and they can get to know you in a risk-free way. That's a good thing. And again, they can see you here, listen to you on a podcast. They can watch you on the video channels. They can see some client testimonials. There's no silver bullet to all this. It's the culmination of everything together, I think, is the answer.
Okay. And speaking of that next piece that does come together, and you just briefly mentioned it there, was the podcast. I mean, you're over 80 episodes deep into that now, which is some going. Probably, I'm going to say your most famous guest there was Esther Anson, wasn't it? So what is your process for planning episodes and booking guests, and what has the benefits the podcast brought to your business?
So I'm very lucky to be supported by a good team, and my wife Kathy does most of the podcast in the right way. Is production, I suppose, of her and Ryan, who's my I've got an apprentice at the moment going through all the exams, I would say a next gen planner. So Ryan is basically, we're identifying good guests all the time. So I'm obviously following stuff on Twitter. I'm reading people. We're getting lots of suggestions from other people who we should interview. And because it's all about retirement, and I want to divest away that it's just not a financial event. I want to know about the stuff that's important in people's retirement lives. And Esther Ransom was covering this thing about loneliness, for elderly people, and loneliness, huge. So she was an obvious guest, and very, very enjoyable.
Nice, very good. And so what have the results off the back of the podcast been for the business?
Quite interesting. Our existing clients are on it all the time. So that's really interesting. I thought it was going to be a much wide. It is a wide audience, but our existing we only look after, I think, this week's figures. I think we've got 74 clients or something like that, or client families. So as couples, probably mostly, but majority of those people are hooking into the podcast, and they're not doing it in the kind of the way that we probably do it, which is download it on our app. They are literally popping up their iPad, because they're all retired. All our clients are retired. I say all, 97% are probably retired. But they put up their iPad on a Tuesday morning, and while they're having their breakfast, they listen to the show.
Great. Very nice. Okay.
So that's really good, because you're getting continual opportunity to convey your message, aren't you?
Absolutely. Yes. It's nice from a sort of a client servicing piece as well, isn't it? It's another spoke. Very good. Okay. And I've got a bit of a twofold question here for you, Justin. So your business obviously focusing on planning people's retirement, but often we do see financial planners who haven't necessarily planned their exit and subsequent retirement. So probably without giving too much away, how are you planning your retirement? Because I'm sure you're going to go off and want to do parachuting or abseiling or whatever next to add on to motorbikes and all the rest of it. And what would you say to younger financial planners in terms of planning their future?
So I really love what I'm doing, and I'm doing much more of the kind of coaching and training work with Kinder Institute and training financial advisors, and I'm enjoying the kind of life planning work with clients. I think I can probably do this forever. I don't really need to stop. I've looked at the exit values people are buying, and then what happens to your business. I love Chris's model for the employee ownership trust, etc. I don't think it's probably for me, because I need to be a bigger firm, and I'm not really intending to be a bigger firm. So then I then go, my old boss who employed me when I was 16 and then took me back twice for that insurance brokers in Stourbridge. Martin is now in his 80s, and he's still the MD and turning up to work. Maybe sometimes the frustration of some of the staff, but he still loves going in, and he still loves serving his clients, and he loves the companionship and the opportunity to do things. If you're physically fit and you're enjoying what you're doing and it's your vocation, I'm very lucky now. I have a great team. Ryan coming through, Kathy helping with all the marketing, my paraplanner doing lots of research and report writing, and I'm enjoying seeing clients. What's not to like? Well, my PI insurance tripling over the last 12 months. I don't like that. But other than that, there's not much not to like.
Very good. Very good. Good positive message. And for those younger ones out there, perhaps the ones who are just starting out their careers. I was going to say, one thing I probably learned from this interview is that I don't think it matters too much how sort of quickly you fall on your feet, because you can obviously go off and do various other things. But what advice do you have to those people?
I was trying to, fundamentally, I'm always looking at, what's important to me, what are my values, what's my intrinsic motivation. I've recently, in the last couple of years, I've really moved into some other areas which probably aren't the traditional financial planners kind of remit. So because I'm doing the life planning and because I'm doing the training, sometimes I'm hitting problems with people who have got stuff going on in their worlds, which a traditional financial advisor wouldn't. So I'm qualifying myself at the moment in 7 therapies, and from that will be cognitive behavioral therapies, hypnotherapies, etc. I'm learning about how to solve people's problems, try and help them, assist them, get them where they want to get to. This is now, I've realized that this is now really my passion. I want to help human beings have better lives. That's it. Financially, of course, behind every financial question, there's an emotional question. Every financial question, it's an emotional question. And therefore, being able to dig deep and find out what's really driving the questions that clients are asking. And then also understand, if they're on Island A at the moment and they want to get to Island B, why haven't they yet achieved it? And I suppose if we reflect back into the mirror ourselves and look at ourselves and go, okay, so I'm on Island A at the moment. I want to be Island B. I want to be helping more people. I want to be doing more work with people. I want to have more influence on people's lives so they're successful and they're fulfilling. Why aren't I there yet? Why aren't I doing what I need to do? And it's just that continual analysis and self-reflection and go, okay, I'm here at the moment. Where do I want to be? And I think for all of us, sometimes there's many times in my career that I didn't know where I was going. So I was curious and I went and tried different stuff and I learned different things during the way. I'll expand on this. I'm doing a talk at the PFS. I think hopefully if the conference works later this year, November time. And everything that I've been in my life to this point has molded me. So the strategies that I learned being a lifeboatman for 10 years, I kind of apply some of those strategies into my business operating procedures. All our influences create who we are. So just be curious and think to yourself, okay, so what are the areas that I'd like to be better at? And then how do I go out and find people who can help me on that journey to get me where I want to get to? That might be Chris and his kind of coaching. It might be the Kind Institute and life planning. It might be, certified financial planner, through CZ. It might be, just the CII exams and get whatever it may be. It may be some soft skills from different people, or it may be look outside the business, look outside the world that we occupy and go, so what are the guys at Ogilvy doing? How are they working and persuading people to make better decisions? So getting part of good groups like this and listening and trying to get to be curious about how we work.
Very good. Some wise words there, Justin, indeed. I just want to, before we go on to our final question, I just want to ask you something actually, which I've been asking a few people recently, which is, do you have a coach? Have you ever had a coach? And what are the benefits of having a coach?
Gosh, I so many coaches. Yeah. And been the most remarkable transitions when I've sought help. And actually, when I reflect back, the periods where I haven't particularly made progress, it's because I've been trying to DIY. So yes, I'm multifaceted. So I'm a member of the Professional Speakers Association, but I get coached on my speaking. All the time I'm looking at how can I improve the way I'm communicating. If I'm writing, how can I improve that? So yes, I'm looking to, I've got what I call a life planner, who's one of the senior coaches in the Kind Institute. He coaches me and my wife, but yes, in lots of other facets. So, I did an Ironman last year, straight away went and got a coach. So every area of my life that I'm trying to do something in, I reach out for expertise because I don't know that. Why should I know the answers?
Do you ever sleep, Justin? I mean, the amount of things that you've done or are doing is just ludicrous, really.
Don't follow me on Strava. You'll see me exercising, doing long runs or swimming in the sea at 5 a.m. and that type of thing. So it is my It is probably, if we're all addicted personalities a little bit, I'm just addicted to curiosity, I suppose.
Right. Good way to end. Brilliant. Just one final question, Justin, that we ask everybody who comes on. Lockdown's going to get lifted at some point. What are you most looking forward to?
Connection back with family. Yeah. And also we have, Kathy and I have 2 young girls who are coping admirably with all of this, 11 and 9, and they're full of life and doing so many things. Livy's just had 11th birthday and didn't have a birthday party. You know, and that's pretty tough, isn't it, when you're 11? I think, you know, that not to be able to see all your friends and do the stuff. So allowing the connection to reappear in our lives, that is just, it's highlighted to me this lockdown how fundamentally important it is that we as a human being need to connect with other human beings.
Very good. Thank you ever so much, Justin. I don't know about everyone else. I'm feeling a bit fired up for today now. So thank you, Justin. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Love to talk to you.
I'm sorry we've overrun a little bit there for you, Dan, but come on. Fill us in a quiz very quickly. You can fly through this. Come on.
Okay, we're going to do celebrities who are pixelated. So, usual technique of leaning back and having a look, see who you can think it is. And everyone put it in the chat as well if you've got it.
Few people have said Bieber.
Yeah, it's another Justin, the less famous Justin, in my opinion. It's Justin Bieber, yeah.
All right.
Next one.
That's got to be
Taylor Swift.
Yeah, good shout. Taylor Swift.
Kanye.
Kanye.
Yeah, very good. We're flying through this.
Beyonce.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh goodness.
It's either Dominic Cummings or Carl Pilkington. It's one of the two.
It's everyone's favourite buzzword at the moment is Mr. Dominic Cummings, yeah.
Adam Owen.
Yeah. Who is this?
Katy Perry.
Yeah. God, Jess, are you going to give anyone else a go?
Sorry, I'll calm down. I get excited. I actually don't know who these are, so.
Someone's put in the chat David Walliams. I'll accept that, but it's actually Sir Norman Fry and wife. They don't give her name. From Little Britain, of course. You might have seen that meme flying around the last few days after Dominic Cummings' little chat in the garden. Who is this?
That's Warren Buffett, isn't it?
Yeah, good shout. Warren Buffett, yeah. Thought I'd pick a finance-related one.
That's easy as well. You got that one, Jess?
Is it Benedict Cumberbatch, but a wax model of him?
No, it's not. It's actually, it is just Benedict Cumberbatch, not a wax model. But that was a good shout. This one's a bit tough, actually. I'll be very impressed if you get this one.
Is it a bird?
Yes, it's not a bird.
Is it? Oh, I don't know.
No one's putting it in the chat either. It's maybe a bit too hard, this one. It's Harry Styles. There's a lot going on in that picture, so maybe that one was a bit hard. Lean back.
Mrs. Brown's Boys?
Is it Tim from The Office?
No, good shout though.
Someone's put Barack Obama in the chat.
It's not Barack Obama. It's Ed Sheeran. I thought you could be able to tell by the ginger hair. This one?
These are getting more and more pixelated as we go along.
Someone's put Trump.
No.
Is it Ben Stokes?
It is Ben Stokes, yeah. Someone was close with Root, but yeah, it's Ben Stokes. This one. You're right, these are getting more pixelated, actually. I think I was making it too hard as we were going on.
No idea. Who's that? Rihanna? Someone said Rihanna?
Yes, good shout, yeah, Rihanna.
I stole that off someone. That's Burko, isn't it?
Yeah. John Burko, yeah. And this is quite hard, this one, actually, because it just looks like a generic person.
Yeah.
But it's based on a radio show. It's not Simon Cowell. Good shout though. It's Mr. Greg James.
Wow.
Of course it is. And bonus, who is the richest musician in the world? Apparently, according to Wealthy Gorilla or something like that. Someone's put JZ Scary Spies. Who, sorry?
Kanye?
No. Andrew Lloyd Webber, apparently. It was worth $1.28 billion. Yeah. So yeah, there's something for you to ponder on today. Thanks very much, everyone. I'll be back next week, I think.
Thank you, Dan. That was brilliant. Sorry, I got a bit too excited at the start there. So tomorrow we are focusing on innovation, and we'll be hearing about some of the charity challenges we have coming up on the Global Commute on the 22nd of June. Have a great day, everyone, and stay safe. Bye.
Bye-bye.